Chapter 352. On November 5th, Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo didn't come out of the bedroom until dusk. "What do you want to eat?" Miki Kujo came down the stairs for the second time today. "Let's go out and eat. We can go out for a walk." Toru Watanabe twisted his shoulders. "What's wrong?" Miki Kujo noticed his movements. "Well," Toru Watanabe frowned, "I've been wearing small clothes for a long time, and my body still feels tight." Hearing this, Miki Kujo didn't care anymore, and she was happy. She took out her phone and showed the screen to Toru Watanabe. "Does it look good?" The wallpaper of the phone was a girl in a black dress, as beautiful as Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo. "Take it away." Toru Watanabe didn't want to look at it at all. Miki Kujo laughed happily. This was a beautiful photo of Watanabe that she carefully selected. There were many photos of him in other clothes in the album. She saved a lot of ugly photos of Toru Watanabe on her phone, and Toru Watanabe also had a lot of photos of her on his phone. The two walked out of the villa, and the queen in the yard immediately flew over. "Should we find a male bird for it?" Toru Watanabe said. "I'll send someone to the mountain to look for it." Miki Kujo scratched the queen's chin with her finger and said to it, "Go." The queen flapped its wings and flew to a canna tree. After being weighed, the canna tree immediately bent down. "Still in Kamibocho?" Miki Kujo clapped her hands and asked Toru Watanabe. "Change of place, do you have any recommendations?" "Just find a kiosk and go to Ginza?" "Okay. I'll call Ling and ask her if she wants to have dinner together." Miki Kujo took out her phone and told the servant in the yard to inform the driver to prepare the car. "Your relationship is that good?" Toru Watanabe laughed. Miki Kujo glanced at him and dialed a number. "Let's have dinner together tonight? Watanabe is here too. We'll go pick you up. Get ready." After hanging up the phone, the two of them took a car to Ki-oi-cho. When they arrived at Rin Kiyono's apartment, she was just coming out. She was wearing a thin, cream-colored V-neck sweater. Although it was a V-neck, one couldn't even see her collarbone. It just looked like a V-neck. She was wearing a light blue long dress, which was still fresh and simple. Since we're talking about Rin Kiyono, we should also introduce Miki Kujo's outfit that day. Toru Watanabe remembered very clearly what she was wearing that day. A pure white t-shirt with his shirt on the outside. The front was open. Although the shirt was a little too big, it looked fashionable and elegant. She was wearing a pair of light blue jeans, which outlined the seductive curve of her hips and slender legs. The reason why he remembered it so clearly was that after she put on the dress that day, she said, "Don't say that I'm bullying you. You wear my dress and I wear your shirt. It's very fair." It was indeed very fair. Toru Watanabe couldn't refute the agreement of wearing whatever you wear. It was both happy and painful. "Ah, isn't this the Watanabe classmate who said that he loved me but didn't contact me for 2 days?" Rin Kiyono taunted him with a smile. Toru Watanabe pouted as if something was stuck in his teeth. He looked up and down inside the car, but didn't look at the two people. Miki Kujo glanced at him and said to Rin Kiyono with a smile, "Get in." Rin Kiyono got in the car and sat together with Miki Kujo. Toru Watanabe sat opposite Miki Kujo. The car slowly started and drove toward the main road. "Let me show you something." Miki Kujo took out her cell phone. "This." Rin Kiyono slightly craned her neck and looked at the screen with her. "Toru Watanabe-san." Her gaze moved from the cell phone to Toru Watanabe and teased, "I know you like to be scolded, but I didn't expect you to have a personal hobby of dressing up as a girl." "It's Miki's hobby of making me wear her clothes, Rin Kiyono-san. It's all thanks to you." Miki Kujo said to Rin Kiyono with a smile, "I used to punish him by letting him lick my legs. It's too easy on him. You don't need to tell me this kind of thing." Rin Kiyono looked at her coldly. "Haha." Miki Kujo laughed happily. Seeing Rin Kiyono's face getting colder and colder, she said, "Keep watching, I took a lot." There were 2 reasons why she specifically asked Rin Kiyono to come along. The car drove to Tsukiji, and the three of them entered a restaurant. The restaurant had a large Japanese-style courtyard surrounded by rockery, fake water, and maple leaves. There was a circle of private rooms. The proprietress, who was wearing a blue floral kimono, seemed to know Miki Kujo. Whether it was the tableware or the cushions, she took the initiative to let the waitress who was also wearing a kimono change new ones. "You haven't been here for a long time. How is Madame Junji?" the proprietress said as she led the three of them into the private room. "She's been very energetic recently," Miki Kujo said. After entering the private room, Toru Watanabe casually found a seat and sat down. The proprietress looked at him with some surprise. Toru Watanabe's back was to the alcove. According to Japanese customs, that was the seat of honor. "I heard from the director of Yongdao who came here recently that Madame Genji started to deal with business again." While saying this, the proprietress observed Miki Kujo. The eldest daughter of the Kujo family didn't care at all about the young man's behavior of sitting in the seat of honor without permission. Miki Kujo dealt with the proprietress, and Toru Watanabe looked around the private room. Every private room in this restaurant was decorated in a different style. The private room of the three of them was in the style of a farmhouse. There was a stove at the entrance, dark and smooth pillars, and a white paper door. There were straw hats and straw raincoats on the wall. "You can go ahead with your work." Although Miki Kujo used honorifics, she spoke to the proprietress in a commanding tone. "Have them serve the food directly. Don't worry about us." The proprietress of the restaurant was like the proprietress of the Ginza bar. She would constantly chat and drink with the guests. "Okay, please enjoy your meal." The proprietress gracefully stepped back a few steps, then turned around and left the private room. During the meal, Rin Kiyono asked Toru Watanabe about what he did during his trip. Because there was plenty of time, Toru Watanabe gave her a more detailed explanation this time. He smoothly mentioned that the air in Hokkaido was better than in Tokyo. As he spoke, he suddenly realized something. Was he going to have to check up on her for the rest of his life? And there were four of them. No, Miyazaki probably wouldn't care where he went or what he did. Thinking of this, Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. She and Miki Kujo were talking about the difference between Kanto cuisine and Kyoto cuisine. In order to match the rural atmosphere of the private room, even the dishes were farmhouse dishes. The main dishes were grilled anchovies, fried tofu, and boiled potatoes. If we were in Kyoto, the taste would be slightly lighter. Rin Kiyono said. Miki Kujo nodded. The potatoes would also be replaced with taro. Toru Watanabe, who grew up in the countryside of Iwate Prefecture, couldn't join this conversation. "It's been a month since the cultural festival. It's time to solve the problem between me and her." Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono and thought. After eating the bean soup, the three of them left Tsukiji. On Clear Sea Avenue, they could already see the brilliant lights of Ginza in front of them. They got off the car at Rokuchome. Every shop on the street poured exquisite lights onto the sidewalk. Enjoying the evening breeze, Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo held hands. Toru Watanabe walked beside them. The three of them strolled on the streets of Shinjuku at night. Occasionally, they would enter a boutique. The two of them whispered to each other. Occasionally, they would ask Toru Watanabe for his opinion. Tired of walking, the three of them sat on the outdoor seats of a coffee shop. "You can change it." Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe's left hand and suddenly said, "This?" Toru Watanabe raised his wrist. The dark watch was heavy. "I bought it last year, and it's not worth much." Miki Kujo's tone sounded as if she wanted to change it for a pair of chopsticks. "I don't like watches, but I like this one very much." "That's it," Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo didn't force him to change it. She just casually mentioned it. "What if I buy it for you?" Rin Kiyono smiled at Toru Watanabe. "Buy what?" "Right, speaking of which, I brought you a special product from Hakodate." Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone. "It's with me. I'll show you the photo first." You changed the topic very naturally. Miki Kujo praised him. Miki, you taught me well. Toru Watanabe found the photo of the gift and placed his cell phone in the middle of the small round table. Choose one. Rin Kiyono smiled helplessly. Then, she relaxed and leaned forward slightly. The November night breeze blew. Toru Watanabe smelled the scent of shampoo on her body. Then, Miki Kujo leaned forward slightly as well. Another familiar fragrance wafted over. The three of them surrounded the cell phone and discussed it. What's this? Rin Kiyono asked. A frog, a toilet bowl, and a pig, Toru Watanabe answered. Who's a frog? Who's a toilet bowl? Who's a pig? Miki Kujo asked. I should buy a frog that rides a panda, or a frog that's on a pig's back, Toru Watanabe said. Why? Rin Kiyono asked. You can't say that you're a toilet bowl, right? That's why you can only be a toilet bowl. If you buy a frog that rides a panda, you can at least be a pig. Then I'll be a frog, Rin Kiyono said. It just so happens that you've carried me like this before. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. Miki. Toru Watanabe raised one finger. Go ahead. I suddenly remembered a famous saying, love is not looking at each other, but looking in the same direction. Are you done? Please allow me to explain. Yes. I think the meaning of this sentence is, Miki, you shouldn't be looking at me all the time, but at the frog with me. Toru Watanabe pointed at Rin Kiyono. Are you a pig, or am I a pig? Miki Kujo asked. If you want to be a pig, I can let you be, as long as you want. Miki Kujo sat up straight and pointed at Shinjuku Avenue. Go on by yourself, and pick a car that you like. You can't get a driver's license until you're 18 years old. There's no point in buying a car now. Forget it, we'll talk about it next year. I'm telling you to find a car and kill yourself. Although it's a lie, Rin Kiyono also sat up straight. I can understand Miki's current feelings. That's enough. Miki Kujo rolled her eyes at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe leaned back in his chair and laughed. He didn't hate the situation of the two young ladies arguing, and he could even feel their feminine beauty. He also didn't hate the scene of him being interrogated. Making the brain work and coming up with good ideas was a very good exercise for the brain. You haven't chosen yet, he reminded them. Since you're a pig, I can only choose the pig with the frog on its back, Miki Kujo said. Rin Kiyono didn't understand. She took a sip of hot coffee and suddenly said, Is this thing really a specialty of Hakodate? You can't buy it in Tokyo? Maybe. Toru Watanabe didn't understand the actual situation at all. Tomorrow, I'll bring these two ornaments to the club classroom and decorate them there. They'll have more presents there than at home. Under the street tree in front of the coffee shop, a few people came and played jazz with instruments. The sound of the saxophone flowed slowly around. Time drifted away with the sound of the instruments. You still have school tomorrow. Let's go back, Rin Kiyono said. I'll ask the driver to send you back. Miki Kujo sent a message to the driver on her cell phone. You're not going back? Rin Kiyono asked. I slept during the day. I plan to walk back. I'll go with you, Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo. He couldn't let Miki Kujo be alone outside. Isn't that a given? Why? Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. You still want to go back with Rin? Of course, of course. After Rin Kiyono left in the car, Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo walked hand in hand in the direction of the Kokyo together. At the crossroad in front of Sony, Ginza, while waiting for the traffic light, Miki Kujo turned her head and looked at Toru Watanabe. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked in confusion. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She just looked at him. Toru Watanabe touched his face. What's wrong? Nothing. Miki Kujo looked away. Toru Watanabe was confused, but there were people all around. He thought it would be better to ask after they returned to the villa. Miki Kujo really seemed to be fine. She was still holding hands, and her fingers were swaying gently. The traffic light turned green. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second. Tetsumesa Watanabe was about to take a step forward when Miki Kujo suddenly let go of her hand and jumped onto his back. Toru Watanabe hurriedly grabbed her thigh with his hand. "Let's go," Miki Kujo said with a smile. "That's it." Toru Watanabe found it funny. She wanted to walk back because she slept during the day. She had been staring at him just now. It was nothing. It was all because Rin Kiyono said, "You've carried me like this before." That day, Xiaolian wanted to eat persimmons. In order to pick persimmons for her, Kiyono rode on my shoulder. Toru Watanabe explained. "Are her legs comfortable?" Miki Kujo bit Toru Watanabe's ear and gently ground it with her teeth. "Do you think she'll do such a thing?" "Humph, who knows? She won't do it, but if you do it, will she refuse?" "I'm not that kind of person," Toru Watanabe said. "She's riding on my shoulder. Do you want it? There are so many people here. You're not embarrassed?" "I can't afford to lose face." "That's traffic light, idiot. Hurry up." Miki Kujo clamped Toru Watanabe's waist with her legs. The traffic light had already begun to flash. "Sit tight." Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo and quickly ran over. "Faster. Ha ha ha." Miki Kujo's cheerful laughter was left on the sidewalk. After passing the traffic light, Toru Watanabe still didn't stop. He carried Miki Kujo and kept running. "Idiot, you can stop now." The people around them all looked at them, thinking that they were rushing to take the last tram. Toru Watanabe thought of the oak tree in the school. It was said that the size of the oak tree's crown was the size of its roots. The huge oak tree that covered the sky was just a nut that was easily eaten by a squirrel. Now, it had to be completely uprooted. The entire road from Kamigawa's school gate to the school building had to be dug up. The seed of the oak tree liked Miki Kujo so much and liked Miki Kujo a little. The huge oak tree that covered the sky liked Miki Kujo so much and liked Miki Kujo a lot. Chapter 353. In November, accompanied by the cold wind from the northern Alps, it was time for the annual study trip. Today's class meeting, everyone can use it to discuss. On the podium, Aona Koizumi, who was wearing a teacher's uniform, said the relevant arrangements. When she wore a dress, she looked smart and capable, making people not dare to joke casually. When she wore a bathrobe, on the night before the first snow in Hakodate, she was innocent and cute, shy like a little girl hiding in the legs of an adult. This was the teacher that everyone admired, and this was his woman. Although he knew that this was a bad taste, Toru Watanabe still had such a sense of superiority. After the morning class meeting, the classroom was talking about where to go on this year's study trip. "Miki, is there anywhere you want to go?" Toru Watanabe sat upside down, overlapping his hands, resting his chin on the back of the chair. "Hokkaido. I just came back from Hokkaido. That's why I want to go." Miki Kujo said with a smile, "Especially Hakodate, I want to see the night scenery. After coming down from the mountain, we can eat roast mutton." Rin Kiyono took out a hardcover book from the drawer. "After eating roast mutton, we'll go to some garden to see the night maple." Miki Kujo continued. "Fragrant Snow Garden." Rin Kiyono opened the book. "Yes. Fragrant Snow Garden." Miki Kujo snapped her slender fingers. Toru Watanabe looked at the two people who were echoing each other. He picked up Miki Kujo's automatic pencil, pressed it one by one, and said, "Tokyo has entered the maple season, and Hokkaido is already covered in snow. Where can we find maple leaves to admire? I'm afraid that only bare branches are left in Fragrant Snow Garden. But we still have to go to Hokkaido." Miki Kujo smiled, teasing Toru Watanabe. "Let's go to Hakone." Toru Watanabe puts down the pen, smiles and holds her hand. "Soak in the hot spring, go boating in the lake of reed, dyed red by maple leaves." "Maple leaves can't dye lake of reed red," Rin Kiyono reminded. After a slight pause, she added, "But in the colder autumn, there are fewer clouds and visibility is high. It's a good time to see Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji. Toru Watanabe clapped his hands. I like Mount Fuji. I like Mount Fuji the most. I like Mount Fuji very much. Isn't your favorite Yongjo fried rice from Shikoku Takamatsu? Rin Kiyono asked in surprise. This woman with a good memory was too evil. I like Yongjo fried rice. It has nothing to do with Shikoku's Takamatsu, Toru Watanabe explained and then held Miki Kujo's hand. Let's go see Mount Fuji. Seeing Mount Fuji in Tokyo is fine, Miki Kujo said in a casual tone. For example, Roppongi, Mukuro Station. Ling said. You even know this? Toru Watanabe looked at her in surprise. This is common sense. In Toru Watanabe's knowledge, there was no such thing. Why don't you want to go to Hokkaido? Are you afraid of making those two sad? Miki Kujo asked. It has nothing to do with that. Toru Watanabe explained. It's just that I just went to Hokkaido. It's a bit boring to go there again. It depends on your performance. Miki Kujo was ambiguous, but she already agreed in her heart. The last class in the afternoon was English class. Class test, students in the front row, please pass the test paper to the back. Aona Koizumi handed the newly printed test paper to the first student in each group. The classroom was quiet, only the rustling of the pen on the test paper could be heard. Aona Koizumi walked around the classroom, checking on the students' answers. When she walked past Toru Watanabe, she stopped and looked at him for a while. I love you, Toru Watanabe wrote. Aona Koizumi's elegant eyebrows flashed with a trace of doubt, and she couldn't help but slightly bend over. She had already done the test paper, so there was no need to write this sentence. Koizumi, I love you, Toru Watanabe wrote again. Koizumi, the Roman pronunciation of Koizumi. Aona Koizumi pursed her lips, lowered her head, and smiled. She pretended to be serious as she tapped Toru Watanabe's desk and walked away happily. After school, Toru Watanabe and the other two went to the Human Observation Department together. The water was just boiled, but before they could take a sip of the hot tea, there was a knock on the door. Let's go. Rin Kiyono didn't put down the teacup and directly said, Sorry to bother you. Yoshimi Tamamo and Aoi Ichiki walked in. The two of them came to the Human Observation Department to ask what they didn't do enough this year. In the national competition in October, the blowing department only won the silver medal. The third grade, represented by Kaoru Hayami, left the department in tears. Yoshimi Tamamo smoothly became the head of the blowing department, and Aoi Ichiki also took this opportunity to become the vice head. There's no other way besides memorizing and training. This was Rin Kiyono's advice, exactly the same as when she personally coached the blowing department in the first grade. But the training schedule is the same as last year. Aoi Ichiki was puzzled. The training schedule is the same, but it doesn't mean that the level of effort is the same, Kukui. Yoshimi Tamamo said, last year, Kiyono classmate would check on us every day, so we didn't dare to relax. This year, there's no such pressure. Is there anything else? Rin Kiyono wasn't interested in the blowing department, she just wanted to quickly calm down and read. Nothing. Sorry to bother you. Before leaving, Yoshimi Tamamo stared at Toru Watanabe. Unfortunately, Toru Watanabe couldn't understand her eyes, so he didn't bother to guess or think about it. After the club activities, reading, playing games, ended, Toru Watanabe didn't take the bus to Kamabocho with Miki Kujo, but walked with Rin Kiyono to Shiya Station to take the tram. I'll bring frog and pig tomorrow, he said. Rin Kiyono nodded, and the two of them fell into silence. Toru Watanabe had a lot of things to say to her, but he didn't know where to start. Rin Kiyono also seemed to have something to say to him, but the two of them didn't open their mouths. It was the first time for the two of them to suffer together. But this kind of suffering was like a stage fright writer who had to go on stage tomorrow to give a speech about winning the Nobel Prize in Literature. As long as he was with Rin Kiyono, even if it was suffering, it was a happy suffering, Toru Watanabe wanted to know if Rin Kiyono also thought the same. The beech trees on both sides of the road had already fallen leaves. As long as they survive this winter, next year when the south wind blows, they will continue to germinate and grow leaves. The two of them stood behind the yellow line, waiting for their respective trams. Toru Watanabe wanted to go to Shinano, which was west of Shiya Station. Rin Kiyono wanted to go to Ki-oi, which was east of Shiya Station. If he didn't go to Water of the Imperial Tea that night, he wouldn't have moved away, and would have continued to live in that rented apartment with no one standing on the balcony. Through the window, he could see Rin Kiyono's light. When he occasionally went to the convenience store late at night, he would see her wearing casual clothes, and perhaps even wearing headphones. "What songs have you been listening to recently?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Why do you suddenly ask this?" Rin Kiyono asked. "I thought about the last time I saw you wearing headphones in the middle of the night, so I wanted to ask. Are you thinking about that night when you went to my apartment with Hanada-senpai and saw my underwear? I didn't think about it, but now that you mention it, I can't help but think about it." Toru Watanabe turned his face and looked at Rin Kiyono. Black school uniform, white shirt, pleated skirt, slim figure, awe-inspiring temperament, there was a different kind of charm. "What are you looking at?" Rin Kiyono crossed her arms in front of her chest. Her voice was so cold that it made people wonder if this was the Snow Country train station. "Miss Kiyono, why are you so perfect?" Toru Watanabe was very puzzled. "Do you think I'm Mickey? Do you think you can fool me by saying nice things?" Rin Kiyono sneered. "You'll only make me angrier. I'm telling the truth. The proportion of your body is so perfect, even if you're sitting in a group of people, including me, I can still distinguish you from others at first glance, because you have a unique temperament. I like people who admit their mistakes. You're also cute when you're angry and unhappy. You've already used the same method in last year's national blowing competition. I definitely won't be fooled twice by you." Qin Yi Rin's posture became even more relaxed as he crossed his arms. "Kiyono classmate, you're really interesting." "Are you mocking me?" "Interesting in a good sense." Toru Watanabe said, "In fact, the reason why a boy likes a girl is very simple. When you're eating face to face, when you see the girl eating slowly and elegantly, you suddenly like her. Such a thing definitely exists." "Why do you like me?" "Because it's interesting. Your legs are slender and smooth, without a single flaw." "Sure enough." Rin Kiyono nodded. "You're such a superficial person. Your eyes are just right, clear, cold, and sometimes when you smile, it's like a magnet that sucks people in." "What analogy?" "Don't dirty my eyes. Your hair always reminds me of the lead powder of an automatic pencil, pitch black and full of luster." "Why is it lead powder?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Your 10 fingers, anyone who sees them will think they're beautiful. Are you going to praise me from head to toe? Your voice is like the sound of nature from the sky, ethereal and pure. Even if you scold me, my heart will feel comfortable." "Yes." Slender figure, elegant and refined facial features, simple yet textured clothes. "Thank you," Rin Kiyono said with a sarcastic tone. "Even the word, thank you, sounds so nice." Rin Kiyono put her hand on her forehead and said helplessly, "How infatuated are you with me? If I have ice cream in my hand, I can't wait to smear it on your face. Your recent metaphors are getting more and more strange. You praised me so much in one breath, my brain can't keep up." Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "Change it. I can eat 3 bowls of rice in front of a single strand of your hair. It's not a compound soup, even if you eat it, you won't become me." The departure bell rang in the station. After the Chi-Banmi station, the Marunouchi line was about to depart. The pleasant conversation just now was immediately squeezed out of the platform by the bell. After a moment of silence, Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe with a slight smile on her face and said, "I'm leaving." "Yes. Is there anything else you want to say?" "See you tomorrow?" "See you tomorrow." Rin Kiyono walked towards the tram. Her long hair was blown back by the wind. 4 Valleys, platform number 1, Marunouchi Line, heading to Chi-Banmi Station. 4 Valleys, Platform Number 1, Marunouchi Line, heading to Chi-Banmi Station. The female reporter's voice came from the radio. Rin Kiyono stood near the tram door and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was still on the platform. She gently waved her hand. Toru Watanabe smiled and walked in before the door closed. "Why did you come up?" Rin Kiyono looked at him in surprise. "Because you asked me, is there anything else you want to say, so I chose to come up." Toru Watanabe grabbed the roof handle. "Is there anything else you want to say?" "Not yet." "Where do you want to go?" "Not yet." After a short pause, Toru Watanabe continued, "Anyway, I want to follow you and make sure you're safe when we get home." "Follow?" "I thought you wanted to elope." Chi-Banmi Station. "There's a river on the way to my apartment. Let's jump in together?" "That's suicide for love, right?" "I mean..." The tram started moving. Rin Kiyono, who didn't grab the handrail, couldn't help but sway and fall backward. Toru Watanabe reached out and grabbed her waist, pulling her into his arms. The tram moved towards the Chiban Genfu station with a series of clangs. "Idiot! How long do you want to hold me?" "Idiot!" Toru Watanabe smelled her hair. Who would take the initiative to give up this opportunity? "You're the idiot. You admit that you followed me?" "Idiot, I don't admit it. I just remember the promise we made by the Uji River. No matter what kind of river you fall into, I'll jump in to save you." "We're both idiots." Rin Kiyono leaned her forehead on Toru Watanabe's chest and gently grabbed his unbuttoned school uniform. "Why are you leaning over?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Because you remember the past, so I decided to take a step towards the future." The tram moved quickly. Toru Watanabe's impulse was getting stronger and stronger. When this impulse ran from the bottom of his heart to the tip of his tongue, he said, "Kiyono. Next stop, Chibanmi Station, Chibanmi Station." "Why so fast?" Toru Watanabe's words were stuck in his throat. "You're used to going to Shinano. Have you forgotten that this tram only takes 4 minutes? Rin Kiyono laughed. "If I knew this, I would have walked. If we walked, I wouldn't be leaning on your chest." Rin Kiyono said in a voice that Toru Watanabe didn't want to hear. Then she left his arms and stood up straight. Toru Watanabe looked at her. Her delicate body lines and smooth movements could be described as the beauty of a woman's art. Yes, Kiyono-san is the embodiment of beauty, the representative of female beauty. "Do you want to continue?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Okay, let's sit until we reach the final stop." "Where is the final stop?" Toru Watanabe reached out his hand towards her slim waist. "When I said continue, I meant praise me." Rin Kiyono waved his hand away. "The final stop is Toshima Ward Ikebukuro Station. You can go there by yourself." "Okay." The tram entered the station. Rin Kiyono got off, while Toru Watanabe stayed in the tram. "You're really going to Ikebukuro Station?" she asked with some surprise. "Before I came to Tokyo, I heard that Tokyo's Ikebukuro, Shitani, and Harajuku have the most fashionable and cute girls. I've long wanted to see them." Rin Kiyono nodded and didn't say anything. Toru Watanabe took the tram and left. "I'm almost at Ikebukuro. Let's go check it out today. Let's go shopping together on Saturday? Let's look for cute girls together?" "You don't want to?" "Shopping is fine. I'm just curious how you got to Ikebukuro." "What do you mean?" "The final stop is indeed Ikebukuro, but you're sitting in the wrong direction." "Where am I going now?" "East Kyoto, Sujinami, Jiwa Station." Okay, it's Sujinami again." "You've been to Sujinami? Didn't we go together?" "In order to buy props for the cultural festival, you even borrowed my handkerchief to wipe your eyes." "That's Itaboshi. Watanabe-san, what's wrong with your head?" "I'm recalling the feeling of hugging you just now. My hands are fragrant, and my brain has stopped working." Goodbye, disgusting classmate. I'll be back. The tram clanked as it carried Toru Watanabe towards Sujinami. Chapter 354. Shinonko Apartment, Room 501. Tonight's dinner was hamburger meat. Aona Koizumi had an apron around her waist and was stirring the minced meat in a glass bowl. Miyazaki Miyuki was cutting onions beside her. Huang Zi was sitting outside the kitchen, doing nothing but accompanying the two of them to pass the time. Where did that kid Watanabe go? Huang Zi took a bite of the cucumber, making a crisp crunching sound. Could it be that he went to have a big meal with Milady? No. Aona Koizumi's tone was relaxed. How do you know? Huang Zi mumbled as she chewed on the cucumber. If he wants to go, he will definitely tell me in advance. Aona Koizumi said with a smile, It's not like I don't want him to go. What's there to hide from me? Blind trust, a woman who is blinded by love, it's hopeless. Huang Zi shook the remaining half of the cucumber helplessly. I just did it, of course I trust him. Miyazaki Miyuki wiped the kitchen knife, wiping off the onion on the knife. Did it? Huang Zi's eyes widened, looking back and forth between the two of them. Did what? That. Aona Koizumi lowered her head, adding bread flour, eggs, nutmeg, and pepper into the minced meat, and then continued to stir. Miyazaki Miyuki put oil in the pan, turned on the fire, and poured in half of the freshly cut onions. After pouring some, she was about to put down the plate, but after thinking, she poured a few more into the pan. So it's almost half? Doesn't the kitchen have a device to control the amount of onions? Miyazaki Miyuki muttered. Aona Koizumi took the remaining half of the raw onions and poured it into the minced meat. Hey! Huang Zi, who was ignored, shouted. Besides that, what else can they do? English test paper? Miyazaki Miyuki answered casually and began to stir-fry the onions. When Huang Zi was in disbelief, she stopped eating the cucumber. Obviously Aonai was with us the whole time. Miyazaki Miyuki didn't say anything. Huang Zi turned her head and stared at Aona Koizumi, who was silent with her head lowered. The second night of our trip to Hokkaido, Aona Koizumi whispered to Mr. Huang Zi like a student who had made a mistake. Hokkaido? A few days ago. Aren't you sleeping with Mai? Why did he? Wait a minute, did you sneak out while Mai was asleep? Or did that brat Toru Watanabe sneak into your room in the middle of the night and… No. Aona Koizumi quickly interrupted Huang Zi. The more he spoke, the more ridiculous it was. Then what's going on? Huang Zi questioned. Tell me clearly. Exactly. That's it? Huang Zi didn't even blink as his ears pricked up. Anyway, I've already done it. Because my Asahi went to Toru Watanabe's room the night before, she didn't want to fall behind, so she went the next night. How could she say that? Cough, cough, cough. Huang Zi coughed as if she was about to cry. Sob, sob, it's so painful, so sad. What are you sad about? Miyazaki Miyuki glanced at her impatiently. 25, no, 26-years-old virgins. Originally, all three of us were virgins, so I didn't feel anything. Now that one of us is gone, I'm starting to feel anxious. Sob, sob, sob. Huang Zi bit off the last half of the cucumber. I can help you, Miyazaki Miyuki said. Help me? Huang Zi was stunned. Help me with what? Didn't you say you didn't want to be a virgin? I have finger covers. Finger covers? What finger covers? Huang Zi reacted. You female pervert. As a doctor, it's normal to have finger covers, Miyazaki Miyuki said calmly. You should go to the anorectal department. Miyuki. As the only one with experience, Aona Koizumi was the one with the reddest face. She said shyly and anxiously, This is the kitchen, don't say that. Miyazaki Miyuki shrugged her shoulders. Huang Zi glanced at Miyazaki Miyuki as well, and felt as if she was meeting her best friend for the first time. Aonai. Huang Zi lowered her voice. What's wrong? Why are you like this all of a sudden? You want to borrow money? Aona Koizumi looked at Huang Zi, who seemed to be communicating with undercover agents, in amusement. What do you want to borrow money for? Huang Zi was about to continue speaking, but she was still worried. Wait for me. She slipped into the living room in her cute plush slippers and looked around at the entrance. After confirming that Toru Watanabe wasn't back yet, she ran back. Aonai. She placed her hands on the kitchen counter and leaned forward. She asked softly, "How is it?" "What do you mean?" Aona Koizumi knew what she meant, but because she was embarrassed, she could only ask the obvious. "It's that." "Which?" "It's that." Huang Zi was so anxious that she didn't know what to say. She stretched out her right index finger and placed it between her left thumb and index finger. Her right index finger seemed to be rubbing off the non-existent grease, but also seemed to be sawing her thumb off from her left hand. She pushed it forward and back. Huang Zi. Aona Koizumi looked at her in disbelief. Ha 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 ha. Miyazaki Miyuki laughed so hard that she couldn't even hold the spatula properly. Huang Zi wasn't embarrassed at all. She asked with concern, "How is it? This?" "It's quite vivid." Miyazaki Miyuki praised. "Who's talking about that?" Huang Zi replied. She stared at Aona Koizumi again. "How is it? Is it comfortable?" Aona Koizumi lowered her head and didn't say anything. Aonai. Huang Zi's entire upper body was sprawled on the kitchen counter. At this moment, if someone were to lift her leg, it would only take a little bit, and she would probably fall headfirst into the counter. "I'm making dinner." Aona Koizumi was busy stirring the minced meat. "I'm just saying, is it comfortable or uncomfortable?" Aona Koizumi was stared at by her. She could only say shyly in a low voice, "It's all right." "All right." Huang Zi repeated the word. Does all right mean comfortable or average? Isn't he very strong? How do you know if the young man is strong or not? Miyazaki Miyuki asked curiously. Aona Koizumi also raised her head curiously and looked at Huang Zi. Miki Kujo said it. Huang Zi said matter-of-factly. She looked at the two of them with an expression that said, "It would be weird if you didn't remember." "When?" Miyazaki Miyuki asked curiously. "Was it a study trip or a winter camping trip?" "I think it was a winter camping trip. I remember she said it in the kotatsu." Huang Zi said. "I remember now. It seems that there is such a thing." Koizumi Aonai's face revealed a look of recollection. "Why are you talking about this with your student?" Miyazaki Miyuki was even more curious. At that time, Watanabe was hiding. "I'll tell you this at night." Huang Zi stared at Aona Koizumi. "Is it comfortable or uncomfortable? Why do you have to ask this?" Aona Koizumi was shy and helpless. "I just want to know." Huang Zi pulled Aona Koizumi's sleeve and imitated Toru Watanabe. "Teacher Aonai, tell me." Aona Koizumi poured the onions that Miyazaki Miyuki had fried into the minced meat. She was about to continue stirring, but her sleeve was pulled back and forth by Huang Zi. "Aonai nai. All right, all right." Aona Koizumi gave in. Hurry up and tell me." Aona Koizumi sighed and took another breath. Finally, the voice that came out of her mouth was very soft. "It's comfortable." "How comfortable is it?" "Do I have to tell you?" "Just tell me, I'm curious." "If you're curious, why don't you find yourself a boyfriend?" Miyazaki Miyuki said casually. "Or try using a shower head or an electric toothbrush when you shower at night." "Shower head? Electric toothbrush?" Huang Zi reacted and stuttered again. You female pervert. As a doctor, isn't it normal to know what kind of stimulation things have on the human body?" Miyazaki Miyuki said frankly. Is it normal?" Aona Koizumi asked hesitantly. "Of course it's normal." Miyazaki Miyuki answered. "What's next?" Grill some asparagus and wash a few tomatoes. Aonai, Huangzi lowered her voice again. Does it hurt? You still want to tell me? Aona Koizumi's voice was filled with despair. When the burger was almost ready, Mayasahi finished her evening oboe practice and came downstairs. Toru Watanabe came back. Why did you come back so late? Aona Koizumi took Toru Watanabe's school bag. I took the wrong tram. Toru Watanabe changed into slippers. I wanted to go to Ikebukuro, but ended up going to Jiwa Station. Jiwa Station? Why are you going there? Aona Koizumi didn't even know the name of the station. I also want to know why I'm going there. Toru Watanabe laughed. Aona Koizumi also laughed and didn't continue to ask. Today's burger is almost ready. I want to eat 2 pieces. There's only 1 piece per person. I'll give my share to you. We'll share 2 pieces. Isn't that still 1 piece per person? It's not the same. I'll teach you later. I'll be your how to eat 2 burgers for 2 people teacher. I don't want it. Walking into the living room, Toru Watanabe didn't have time to look at Mayasahi when he noticed Huangzi giving him a thumbs up. Toru Watanabe was puzzled, but he also gave her a thumbs up. You too. Aona Koizumi patted Toru Watanabe's back. Why did you only hit me? Toru Watanabe felt wronged. I hit you because we have a good relationship. Aona Koizumi said with a smile. This is the first time I hit someone. Teacher Aonai, are you also a sadist? What sadist? Nothing. That night, Toru Watanabe slept alone for the first time in a long time. Lying on the big bed that could sleep 6 people, he repeatedly thought about the scene with Rin Kiyono on the tram. Because you remember the past, I decided to take a step towards the future. What was the meaning of this sentence? Was she preparing to compete more fiercely with Miki Kujo and the other 2? Or, there were all kinds of possibilities. The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. Toru Watanabe closed his eyes, emptied his mind, and absent-mindedly returned to the tram running to the Shanbing district. Rin Kiyono leaned her forehead on his chest, and he hugged her through his uniform and shirt. Her ethereal voice was like the sound of nature, her faint fragrance, and her tight and slender waist. How could he convey his feelings? After saying it, would she accept it? Would that unreachable dream really come true one day? No, it must come true. Toru Watanabe remembered every word Rin Kiyono said. The world will not compromise the people who are gentle. No matter what others say, no matter what the world thinks, he must let them be together. Never show weakness to anyone, never compromise with any worldly rules. He wanted to become a demon, a real man. Only then could he embrace Rin Kiyono without any scruples, and love her with all his might. Throwing away all doubts and uneasiness, he said to her, "Please be with me." Running along the lush green streets and trees of the 4 valleys, in the afternoon of the Lightwell Lake, they ran down the narrow alleys of the lower North Lake and shouted to everyone, "She's my lover. No one can stop me." Rin, what are you doing now? It was 1 o'clock in the morning, but he still couldn't sleep. In autumn, there were fewer clouds at night, and the moonlight flowing in through the floor-to-ceiling window was brighter than usual. Rin Kiyono sat on the single sofa in the bedroom, bent her legs, and looked out the window. Somewhere in the dark where even the moonlight couldn't penetrate, was Toru Watanabe's old rented house. After he got his own SLR camera, before Toru Watanabe moved away, he accidentally saw his blurry figure studying in front of the window. Ah-san. Dora A. Rin. Kiyono God. A sweet and lonely nickname. She would scold him, and he would unceremoniously fight back, just like a quarrel between lovers. When she threatened him, he would say, "Miss Kiyono, Kiyono-san, Kiyono, Rin, Oriai-chan." He begged her so exaggeratedly. She liked his arrogance when he fought back. She liked his look when he was caught on the handle and asked for help. She liked his self-righteous pride in explaining the cause of the Mayu. She liked that he deliberately made her angry, and then found a way to make her laugh, just to see her clever smile. She liked that he always didn't tell the truth. The time they spent together was like the leaves sifting through the sunlight, and the clumsy sound of the flute playing came in intermittently from outside the window. Hugging her knees and closing her eyes, it was as if she was back in the trolley car. Marinucci's line swayed, heading in the direction that was not Ikebukuro Station. Her body also swayed with the trolley car, in Toru Watanabe's arms. The distance between them was sometimes close and sometimes far. She was obviously in his arms. Why was it sometimes close and sometimes far? As long as one side exerted strength, Toru Watanabe hugged her even more tightly, or she took the initiative to hug his waist. The trolley car swaying couldn't do anything to them. Was it because they were going in the opposite direction? If it was the trolley car going to Ikebukuro Station, would they be able to keep the closest distance? If they went to Ikebukuro Station, would he not go to Imperial Tea? Would he not pretend to date Miki Kujo because he cared about his parents, and wouldn't a series of things happen later? I hate to share you with others, but I need you again. If it wasn't for you, this world wouldn't mean anything to me. Is there any way for us to be together, Watanabe-san? You can make Miki Kujo fall in love with you. You can make Miki Kujo allow my Asahi and Aona Koizumi to be your lovers. You can make me and Miki Kujo reconcile. There must be a way for us to be together, right? Among the three of us, you are the smartest and the most cunning. I still remember that you deceived me in Karuizawa and made me willingly perform a play at the cultural festival. So, quickly think of a way. Even if you deceived me, I can pretend that I didn't find out. Soft hair fell behind Rin Kiyono's ear. End this game of hide and seek. Quickly catch me. When that day comes, will you call me Rin? If you take the initiative to ask, I will allow it. And when that day comes, I will also call you Toru. I want to be with you. Watanabe-san, what are you thinking about now? Chapter 355. Hakone. The most famous scenic spots are Oyu Valley and Lake Rushi. The annual super popular sport, Hakone Relay. The participants are university students, running from Tokyo to Lake Rushi, and then from Lake Rushi back to Tokyo. The total distance is about 217 kilometers. Hakone's tram is also very famous. Toru Watanabe closed the travel magazine and returned it to Aoi Ichiki. I didn't expect to go to Hakone for a study trip. Aoi Ichiki immediately opened the magazine that she had already read many times. Is there a need to be so excited? Toru Watanabe picked up the milk box on the table. Of course. Aoi Ichiki nodded vigorously. Unlike Kyoto and Osaka, Hakone is a famous summer resort. In the first episode of Tokyo Women's Illustrated Handbook, the female character from Akita Prefecture fantasized about traveling to Hakone. So, Hakone is more famous than Karuizawa? The reason why Karuizawa developed was because the rich wanted to avoid the summer heat there. Hakone, on the other hand, developed because of scenic spots such as Oyu Valley and Lake Rushi, as well as the popular long-distance relay race, Hakone Relay. If you think about it this way, Hakone should be more famous. After saying that, the newly promoted deputy director of the wind instrument department thought for a while, and added a word to be safe, probably. Toru Watanabe sucked on the straw, and the strawberry milk continuously flowed down his throat. Class 4's study trip location has been confirmed. It is Hakone, which is about to usher in the best viewing season of the red leaves. The class next door is going to France. Compared to that, Hakone is nothing. Toru Watanabe said. I've always heard that France is very romantic. I want to see the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower, but Hakone is also not bad. Hakone, Hakone, Aoi Ichiki sang while flipping through the travel magazine. Toru Watanabe stared at the ceiling of the classroom above his head. Hakone's mountains are dangerous. This saying is only limited to Japan, but it is also appropriate to use it as the final battlefield. He drank the rest of the milk in one gulp. After lunch break, Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono returned to the classroom. Both of them had waist-length hair, and when they walked through the classroom, their stunning beauty seemed to surround them with a halo. Where did you go at noon? Miki Kujo sat down in her seat and asked Toru Watanabe. I'm reading Yimi's travel magazine in the classroom. Travel magazine. Since we're going, let's make some preparations to have a better time. I'm already sick of Hakone, Miki Kujo said. Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. Since you're tired of going there, why didn't you say so when I suggested going to Hakone? Miki Kujo laughed contemptuously. Is there any place that I haven't been to before? I was planning to make some preparations and bring you to have more fun. Looks like it's your turn to be my tour guide. The class bell rang, and the chemistry teacher walked in. Toru Watanabe turned around and exchanged glances with Rin Kiyono, then looked away at the same time. After that trolley ride, the two of them fell into a strange atmosphere, as if they were waiting for something. What's the date today? The chemistry teacher stood on the podium and asked everyone. 12. Nonsense, it's clearly 11. Then students with student numbers 11 and 12, come up. The chemistry teacher took out 2 pieces of chalk. The 2 people who were talking just now silently walked up and each took a piece of chalk. The others laughed, and Osamu Kunai's laughter was especially loud. Quiet, take out the paper. The chemistry teacher opened the textbook. Today's dictation before class is, after school, Toru Watanabe began to pack his luggage in preparation for tomorrow's trip. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi's voice came from the entrance. Aonai-sensei? Toru Watanabe walked out of the bedroom. Dinner is ready already? Not yet. Aona Koizumi changed into slippers. I'll have Miyuki and Aozi cook for me today. I'll help you pack your clothes. The two of them. Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone from his pocket. Aonai-sensei, what do you want to eat today? Pizza. Beef bento? Aona Koizumi smiled and slapped Toru Watanabe. The two of them walked into the bedroom, and Aona Koizumi helped Toru Watanabe choose his clothes. As a student, he had to wear the school uniform for his trip. Plus, he didn't have to wear as much as a girl. He only had to bring enough underwear and socks. Although the hotel has toiletries, it's best to bring your own, Aona Koizumi said as she packed his luggage. After returning home, she changed into her home clothes. When she bent down, her curves were very soft, and the cotton pants outlined the seductive curves of her butt. Occasionally, when she stood up to get something, she would bounce back like a broken willow branch and regain her strong curves. When Aona Koizumi bent down again, Toru Watanabe hugged her from behind. Do. Just for a while. Toru Watanabe interrupted her and hugged her tightly. No, you can't. Aona Koizumi twisted her body and struggled, but her strength was very weak. Toru Watanabe stroked her right cheek with his left hand and turned her elegant and beautiful little oval-shaped face around. Watanabe. Toru Watanabe let go of her red lips and kissed her fair neck. Miyuki and the others are still waiting, Aona Koizumi said while panting. Just for a while. Toru Watanabe breathed hot air into her ear. His hand left her flat stomach and placed on the waist of her pants. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi shouted reproachfully as she couldn't help but tilt her neck back. Toru Watanabe's hand moved down and took off her pants and underwear. Can you lie on the bed? No. Aona Koizumi frowned. When Toru Watanabe let go, her body went limp and fell onto the big white bed in front of her. She instinctively supported herself with her hands on the edge of the bed. This position was exactly what Toru Watanabe wanted. As if the bed was too soft, Aona Koizumi was conquered the moment she leaned on it and maintained that position. Hurry up. She didn't raise her head. Her face was buried in the blanket as she spoke like a little girl. Toru Watanabe stroked her white buttocks. He was ready. Ah. Aona Koizumi cried out softly as if she was wailing. November 12th. The students of Kamigawa went to different train stations according to their study destinations. All the students of the second grade class 4 were gathered at the platform of Shinjuku Station. Everyone, according to your groups, see if there are any students who haven't come? Aona Koizumi said lightly as she counted the number of students. Last year, Toru Watanabe was in a group with Keisuke Saito. This year, he was in a group with Miki Kujo, Rin Kiyono, and Aoi Ichiki. Miki, this is your second time taking the Shinjuku line? Toru Watanabe asked. Yeah. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at the platform of Shinjuku Station. Last time, I went back to Iwate Prefecture with you. Are you going again this year? Toru Watanabe asked with a smile. Last year, I spent Chinese New Year at your place. Today, I should be at my place. Miki Kujo was the best representative of egalitarianism. For example, I'll wear whatever you wear. Okay. Toru Watanabe nodded. He guarded Miki Kujo in case someone bumped into her. His eyes looked at Rin Kiyono beside him. She was listening to Aoi Ichiki chatter about the hot spring black eggs in Oyu Valley. Noticing Toru Watanabe's gaze, Rin Kiyono turned her head to look at him. After glancing at him, she moved her gaze back to the tracks. How are you and her? Miki Kujo asked with a smile. I'm going to confess to her in Hakone. Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo's slender shoulders and whispered. Finally made up your mind? Aren't you angry? After we made up during the culture festival, I already thought that the three of us were together. Miki Kujo was in Toru Watanabe's arms and looked at Toru Watanabe with a smile. Toru Watanabe hugged her even tighter. There's also my senpai and Aonai senpai. He reminded her. Miki Kujo just smiled and didn't comment. In her eyes, Mayasahi and Aona Koizumi were just tools for her to make up for almost killing Toru Watanabe twice. Qing Yi Lin was the only one she saw as an opponent. She even allowed the existence of Mayasahi and Aona Koizumi mainly because of Rin Kiyono's threat. In the past, the two of them were rivals. Now, they could only be friends with each other. Toru Watanabe knew Miki Kujo's true thoughts. He didn't force her to agree with Aona Koizumi and Mayasahi. Only by accommodating each other and understanding each other could they live happily. They didn't have to do anything to each other. Then what about Rin Kiyono? Toru Watanabe began to think about this matter again. She didn't do anything wrong to him. There was no reason for her to accommodate him. It was normal for lovers to be faithful. Even though he was already used to their current relationship, Toru Watanabe was still self-aware. He was wrong. He was good to them and ensured that they didn't have any problems in life and that they were healthy. He wanted them to be happy and did his best to show his love and care for them. Just in case, he wouldn't accept any more missions. All of the above was just him trying his best to do the right things on the basis of his mistakes. There was nothing to be proud of. Now, he had to face Rin Kiyono, who didn't do anything wrong. Apart from their love for each other and their determination to be together, there was nothing he could compare with her. Even so, he still chose to take this step forward. Guilt and unfairness would wait until he got Rin Kiyono. Now, all he had to do was to run and chase after everything he wanted. Everyone got on the Odakyu Romance Express. The timetable indicated that they would arrive in Hakone in 85 minutes. Miki, you sit by the window, Toru Watanabe said directly when arranging seats. He still didn't want anyone to accidentally bump into Miki Kujo. This was partly because of Miki Kujo's obsession with cleanliness, but also because of his own selfishness. After Miki Kujo sat down, Toru Watanabe said to Rin Kiyono, "You sit in the middle? You want to sit next to me?" Rin Kiyono asked with a smile. This wasn't a special class carriage, so they sat together with the other students. There were 5 seats in a row, 3 on each side and 2 on the other. Aoi Ichiki and a girl from Class 4's music department were sitting together and chatting. Sit. Miki Kujo said to Rin Kiyono, "He's our bodyguard now." Not just a bodyguard, Toru Watanabe said. Or what? Rin Kiyono asked. Toru Watanabe adjusted the position of his tie. He's still a servant. If you need anything to drink or eat, please tell me directly. I want to eat the pancakes your mother baked, Miki Kujo said with a smile. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Dora e Rin. Rin Kiyono didn't look at him and sat directly in the middle seat. Dora e Rin doesn't want to help, so I can only ask my mother. Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo and sat down on the aisle seat. Not long after, the romantic rushed toward Hakone. Along the way, it was already autumn scenery, dark red or withered yellow leaves, and the distant sky. Deep autumn leaves yellow. When the romantic passed by the Tama River, Toru Watanabe thought of Takabashi Shuzi's haiku. Leisurely without heart to cover the setting sun, Rin Kiyono didn't look away from the book in her hand. Toru Watanabe waited for a while, but Miki Kujo's voice didn't come, so he turned to look, and sure enough, she was already asleep. "You're in a good mood?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Why do you say that?" Toru Watanabe asked. "You still have the mood to read haiku. Are you in a bad mood?" "Where do I fall?" Toru Watanabe said the last sentence of the haiku. "My mood is not good, but not bad, just a little hesitant." "Hesitant?" Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly and closed the book. "I'll chat with you." "Okay, what do you want to talk about?" "Takabashi Shuzi?" "Okay, you first." Rin Kiyono put the book on the pleated skirt that covered her knees, and gently stroked the cover with her fingers. Toru Watanabe was speechless. "I know this haiku about Takabashi Shuzi." "Me too." "Then you agree. Didn't you also say you want to talk about Takabashi Shuzi?" Rin Kiyono gently put her hand on her chin, and her smile was elegant with a little mischievous, very cute. "I'm going to learn about him from you," Toru Watanabe said. Didn't I tell you before? I don't know everything, and to admit that, it's also one of your excellent points. Toru Watanabe said for her, "I remember your words." "The credit for writing a diary? Speaking of diaries, you should hand in the second one." Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono without blinking. "Kiyono-san." "Say it. You're really beautiful." "Anything else?" "I might like you more than I thought." "Got it. Anything else?" Looking at the beautiful and refined little face, and the crystal-clear eyes, Toru Watanabe's heart beat faster. He wanted to say his heart's desire, to beg her to ignore all his mistakes, even if she cared, to wait until the two of them were together, and then she could slowly blame him. Even if she blamed him for a lifetime, it didn't matter. His heart was pounding, his hands were starting to go numb, and his voice must have become hoarse. "That's all," Toru Watanabe said hoarsely. Rin Kiyono looked at him deeply. "In that case, let's talk about something else." "About what? Do you think honesty is necessary?" "Actually, humans have never pursued honesty." "Continue." "People talk about it, but they expect others to follow it, while they turn a blind eye to most situations. When honesty is useful, people will be honest. When lies are convenient for them, they will immediately turn around and worship lies." "What about you?" "I'm also one of them," Toru Watanabe said, "but I'm willing to always be honest with you." "Because being honest with me is beneficial to you?" "I won't deny that it's partly because of this, but you won't like someone just because they're honest, right? Honesty is the foundation of being human. I will admire them, but..." Rin Kiyono looked away and looked ahead. "Liking someone has nothing to do with that person's honesty." "Then wouldn't I be honest for nothing?" Rin Kiyono turned around and looked at Toru Watanabe coldly. "I'm kidding." He laughed. "I'm honest with you only because you're good-looking. Only because of my appearance." Appearance is very important. Toru Watanabe pretended to be guilty. "And you just said that you'll always be honest with me." Rin Kiyono sighed. She couldn't do anything about him. "Honesty is only a means." Toru Watanabe looked into her eyes. "My goal is to make you happy. As long as I can make you happy, I'm willing to be honest or lie." "Is that so?" Soft hair fell behind Rin Kiyono's ears. She remembered what the fortune teller said during their trip to Kyoto. Although you're smart, sometimes you know that someone is lying, but you still choose to believe them. At that time, she didn't even think about it and said that it was impossible. Now, that person had appeared. The two of them stopped talking, each thinking about their own matters. At some point, Toru Watanabe felt a slight weight on his shoulder. He looked sideways and saw that Rin Kiyono had fallen asleep and her head was leaning on his shoulder. Letting the sleeping Rin Kiyono lean on his shoulder like this without caring about anything was probably not a bad idea. But, Kiyono-san. Toru Watanabe gently woke Rin Kiyono up. We've reached the final stop. Chapter 356. For Hakone, Tanjin Station was a platform similar to the entrance. It was November, the peak season for tourism, so the platform was crowded with people. The Kamigawa students in black uniforms were particularly eye-catching. Today's weather is good, we can see Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji? Where is it? I saw it on the way here. The flight attendants even used the radio to tell the passengers. I fell asleep. No, you were playing games. Are you serious? I didn't fall asleep? Why do I feel like I fell asleep? The students didn't care about the tourists' gazes, and excitedly chatted. Everyone is here. Aona Koizumi said loudly, the first day is a group trip, so no one is allowed to leave the group without permission, do you hear me? Yes, there will be free time to take photos, but it must be within the stipulated range and time. Yes. If there is an accident, remember to immediately call me as the group leader. Yes, this time the reply was much smaller, only the 10 group leaders answered. Toru Watanabe's group leader was Aoi Ichiki. The reason for her election was, in Toru Watanabe's words, Aoi Ichiki did the most homework for this trip, but in reality, it was the three of them who were lazy. After Aona Koizumi said what needed to be said, she repeatedly reminded everyone to pay attention to their safety, then led everyone to leave Tanjin Station and walk towards the first destination, Hakone Tanjin. Along the way, they passed by Hakone's shopping street, where there were all kinds of food stores. The girls were reluctant to leave, and decided to come here for their free trip the next day. How long will it take? Miki Kujo, who was at the back of the group, asked Toru Watanabe. Group leader Itsuki? Toru Watanabe asked Aoi Ichiki, who was walking in front of them. Let me see. Aoi Ichiki opened a travel magazine. About 15 minutes. 15 minutes to see a hot spring. Miki Kujo sneered. If her subordinates had come up with this plan, they would have been transferred to Kanagawa and bid farewell to the prosperous eastern Kyoto forever. The scenery in Hakone Tongliao is not bad. As soon as they entered, most of them were stunned by the scenery in front of them. Emerald green evergreen trees and fiery red maple leaves covered the stone path in the shade of these leaves. After visiting Hakone Tongliao, they took the Hakone Mountain Tram to Jonro Park on the mountain. The red metal car climbed along the winding mountain road. This railway is said to have the steepest slope in Japan. Toru Watanabe leaned against the window and admired the red leaves that looked like they were about to burn. And then, Miki Kujo asked in a so what tone. And then, Toru Watanabe imitated her tone and repeated it. Then, because he liked her so much, he couldn't help but scratch her delicate nose. How can there be so many then? He said with a smile. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at him coldly. Did I allow you to scratch my nose? I don't think so. Bend over. Toru Watanabe bent over as if he wanted to kiss Miki Kujo. A contemptuous smile appeared on Miki Kujo's face, and she kissed him. Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. He thought Miki Kujo would scratch his nose or pinch his face. But when he saw Miki Kujo looking at Rin Kiyono provocatively, he understood her intention, not to punish, but to show off to Rin Kiyono. Shallow women will do this kind of thing. Rin Kiyono touched her chin and showed a gloomy smile. Then let me see, what will a woman who is not shallow do? Miki Kujo asked with interest. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono turned to look at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe-san is not here. Toru Watanabe replied, "He told me to pass on a message. In this kind of situation, you can't find him for anything good, so he went out." He. Aoi Ichiki snickered. The three of them looked at her at the same time, then looked away at the same time, silently admiring the scenery of Hakone outside the carriage. In addition to the red maple leaves on the mountain, they could also overlook the valley of Hayakawa. "We're almost there, everyone get ready." Aona Koizumi said, "Everyone remind each other, don't leave your classmates behind." "I'm going to leave you here." A boy who was more than a friend, but not yet a lover, said to a girl. The tram arrived at the park station. Kamigawa's teachers and students lined up in a long line and walked to the Jonro Park. After entering the park, they had half an hour of free time. A tea room, a dessert shop, a restaurant, a workshop, there were many things to experience. Kamigawa students wearing black uniforms, one moment there were 4 of them here, the next moment there was a group of them, their figures were everywhere. Aoi Ichiki wanted to try drinking matcha in the traditional tea room. Rin Kiyono didn't want to take another step, so she followed. Miki Kujo wasn't interested in the tatami mats that had been used by countless people, nor the tea set that had been used by countless people, so she walked around the tea room. Toru Watanabe followed beside her. After leaving the tea room, they could see the fountain among the green pines and cypresses. With just one step, they went from the traditional Japanese courtyard to the Western scenery. "You've been with me for this trip. How are you going to confess to her?" Miki Kujo stood by the blue fountain. "Even if I have to confess, I can't let you do it alone," Toru Watanabe said. "Do you need me to give you a chance?" Miki Kujo turned around and looked at him teasingly. "I have a habit of jogging in the morning." She has the problem of insomnia on the first day in a new place, so there's a chance in the morning. You know her very well. I know you even better. I know that you like to. Under Miki Kujo's go on gaze, Toru Watanabe looked up at the clear sky and white clouds in the distance. "The weather is so good." Miki Kujo snorted and let him off the hook this time. "Did you plan to practice your morning jogging in advance?" "Plan in advance?" Toru Watanabe retracted his gaze and looked at Miki Kujo in confusion. "What do you mean?" "Rin told me that you purposely let me kill you twice, but it was actually something that you planned long ago. You don't even know how many times you've had to relive your life." "She doesn't lie, right?" "It's just a guess," Miki Kujo said. "It would be great if I could relive my life," Toru Watanabe said with a hint of yearning. "If," Miki Kujo looked at him, "you could relive your life, what would you plan to do with it?" Toru Watanabe put his hands in his pockets and stared at the blue spring water for a while, then turned to Miki Kujo and said, "It seems, there's no need to relive my life?" "There's no need." Miki Kujo reached out to Toru Watanabe's waist and said fiercely, "If you can go back in time, come find me immediately, got it?" I excitedly ran to Kujo Milady and said, "Miki." Before I could finish, the 15-year-old Milady stood up handsomely and took out Still Flow's pistol. Bang, bang, bang. She shot me 3 times, and Toru Watanabe fell to the ground on the spot. Miki Kujo laughed and let go of his hand and said, "A third-rate script, full of mistakes. First of all, the only place you could see me was at school. At that time, I didn't have Still Flow by my side. Secondly, even if you saw me earlier, how could I do it myself? You still want to shoot me 3 times. It depends on Still Flow. I just want you to die. Then you might as well do it yourself." Toru Watanabe hugged her from behind and put his hand on her tight abdomen. Miki Kujo leaned into his arms and the white cumulus clouds in the distance stretched out comfortably. Aoi Ichiki came out of the tea room and praised matcha. At the same time, she was envious of the elegance of the waitress who poured the tea. After leaving Gongro Park, the group went to the hotel where they were staying. After lunch, they rested for a while and set off again. The smell of sulfur filled the air in the great surging valley. They bought a bag of black eggs, 500 yen, 5 eggs. Toru Watanabe ate 2. Hidden in the forest was the Hakone Shrine. Thick trees rose from the ground all around, like pillars supporting the sky. The shrine's Jinsen road led to the mountain and the other to the lake of Rushi. Finally, they took a pirate ship and circled around the lake of Rushi. They leaned against the cabin and looked at Mount Fuji in the distance and took photos of the red torii in the water. The first day of the mission ended when the Hakone Mountain turned even redder under the sunset. For dinner, they ate the hard-head trout caught in the lake of Rushi. No one knew if it was true or not. Toru Watanabe slept in the same room as Miki Kujo. The hotel in Hakone Mountain was much quieter than Tokyo at night, and it seemed very quiet. In the luxurious bedroom, Toru Watanabe stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the Hakone Mountain. The vast wilderness, the golf course in the woods, the moonlight flowed like water. He wasn't sure if it was an illusion or because the air in Hakone was cleaner than Tokyo. There were no neon lights and the moon looked clearer than Tokyo. Finally, there was a sound in the silent bedroom. Miki Kujo came out of the bathroom. She was wearing a fitting bathrobe. Her chest was full, and her hair was tied up high. She looked at Toru Watanabe with a smile. So beautiful. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say, "You're also very stylish." Miki Kujo said with a smile, "I'm telling the truth." "Are you the only one who can tell the truth?" Miki Kujo said in a bad mood. "I mean, I'm not just stylish." Toru Watanabe took her in his arms. "You're also a pervert? Our hearts are really connected." The two leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window and quietly looked at the Hakone Mountain, enjoying each other's body temperature. "Miki." In the comfortable atmosphere, Toru Watanabe whispered, "Yes. Can I kiss you?" A year ago in the summer, in the middle of the ball, the two slipped onto the boat. Toru Watanabe had also asked her to kiss him. "You're going to confess to Ling tomorrow, and you're going to do it with me today?" Miki Kujo asked with a smile. Toru Watanabe's lips were almost touching her face. "I'm with you right now. For the sake of Rin Kiyono tomorrow, ignoring today's Miki Kujo. For the sake of today's Miki Kujo, forgetting tomorrow's Rin Kiyono." These weren't things that Toru Watanabe should do. Their situation was complicated. When they were together, they wholeheartedly thought of each other. This was the right thing to do. At least, that was what Toru Watanabe believed. "Come." Miki Kujo raised her snow-white neck. Toru Watanabe's lips parted slightly. Miki Kujo's red, sparkling lips parted and pressed against each other. Bathed in the moonlight, it was just like when the two of them kissed on the boat in Tokyo Bay. The outline of the outer Chakra Mountain became clearer. The moon climbed up the mountain and shone brightly. "Yes." Miki Kujo left Toru Watanabe alone. She panted and said, "It's about time. Go to bed." "Yes." Toru Watanabe took out his right hand from the front of Miki Kujo's bathrobe. Then, he placed his hand, which was still warm, behind Miki Kujo's knees and lifted her up. Miki Kujo delicately lay on the bed. Toru Watanabe leaned over and kissed her again. At the same time, his hand gently pulled open the sash at her waist. The rustling of clothes being taken off, the sound of panting, and the murmuring of calling each other. In the silent night, only these sounds passed by their ears. The next day at 5 o'clock in the morning, Miki Kujo was still sleeping soundly. Toru Watanabe gently got out of bed and changed into the school sportswear. Strolling along the corridor, the surroundings were so quiet that they could hear the sound of the fog moving. "Good morning." As if it was fated, or as if it had been agreed long ago, he and Rin Kiyono met. "Do you want to do morning exercises with me?" Toru Watanabe invited her. "Forget about jogging." Waking up early, Rin Kiyono did not change her clothes. She was wearing the school sportswear that she used as her pajamas last night. "If you want to go for a walk, I can accompany you." "Accompany me." The two of them walked out of the hotel. The cold air hit them in the face. Once they got used to the cold, they would feel comfortable because of the fresh air. "Do you have a place you want to go?" Rin Kiyono asked. "No, do you have one?" "Yes." Rin Kiyono hugged her body. I want to go to Celestial Stone Field. I read in a travel magazine that once autumn comes, the mountains there will be covered with golden miscanthus. Today is a free walk. Wouldn't it be better to wait for the sun to come out? Toru Watanabe asked. At this time, the sky was still dark. The moon was hanging reluctantly on Waigaquin Mountain, like a crab that was about to be fried, desperately using its pincers to hold the edge of the pot, trying to lift itself up. There are many people during the day. I see. After a moment of silence, Rin Kiyono asked, You run every day. Is it okay if you don't run today? Actually, walking and running have no meaning to me in terms of exercise. Then why do you insist on running? It sounds like something you would say. Toru Watanabe laughed. Rin Kiyono's face was calm. She did not deny that she hated exercise. Toru Watanabe continued, What I insist on is not running, but looking forward to meeting you, because you have a habit of insomnia. Lies. Didn't you say this to Miki yourself? Toru Watanabe pretended to be surprised. She said that I deliberately let her hurt me twice, in order to be together with Senior Mai and Tanai-sensei. That's only a possibility. Rin Kiyono was used to the outdoor temperature and slightly loosened her arms. Impossible. Koizumi, sensei doesn't remember going to the future when she was 16. That's two different things. Maybe when you're old, or one day, if one of us has an accident, you'll get the ability to restart the timeline. I think I know why you're so familiar with Superman's setting. The two of them talked as they walked and arrived at Celestial Stone Field. There was a dirt road, and both sides were filled with tall grass. The morning wind blew, rustling the grass. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono turned to Toru Watanabe in surprise. Toru Watanabe looked at her with a smile. Rin Kiyono seemed to like the deserted Celestial Stone Field. Her footsteps were light as she walked among the grass. Toru Watanabe followed her one step behind. He looked at her curvy back and her long black hair swaying gently in the wind. The sky gradually brightened. The morning light shone on the wilderness full of grass, making it golden. Toru Watanabe thought of winter camping. On the first day, in the cold forest, Rin Kiyono sat on the roots of a tree to rest. The sun shone straight down and enveloped her like a holy sound. But Toru Watanabe didn't think of Rin Kiyono at that time. Instead, he thought of her lying on the white snow on the high-class snow trail. It was time. He wanted to go forward, but he couldn't move his feet. His throat was dry again. His voice must be hoarse. His heart was beating violently. His palms were hot and seemed to be sweating. He was nervous, worried, and even a little scared. But it was precisely because of this that he wanted to speak and stride forward. He wanted to let her hear his heartbeat and feel the warmth of his palms. Because these were all proof of his love for her and his desire to get her. Kiyono-san. Rin Kiyono stopped and turned around. She tilted her slender neck and asked softly, What's wrong? He heard the sound of the wind blowing through the grassland. At this time, Toru Watanabe decided to do what he really wanted to do. The November sky stretched out above Toru Watanabe's head. Only he and Rin Kiyono were in Celestial Stone Field covered with golden grass. It was a clear, almost transparent November morning. Chapter 357. Kiyono-san. What's the matter? I like you. Toru Watanabe remembered the scene that day very clearly. The miscanthus slowly swayed in the November-autumn wind. Wisps of thin clouds lingered in the azure sky. The white air exhaled seemed to be sucked away by the rising sun. Everything had absorbed the thick autumn aura, presenting an almost transparent world. Rin Kiyono, who was standing in the middle of the miscanthus, was as clear and beautiful as the autumn day. I know. Rin Kiyono said. I like you. Toru Watanabe repeated again. How did you? She seemed to understand something, but didn't continue. The wind slightly ruffled her hair, and the eyes under her long eyelashes quietly looked at Toru Watanabe. Just by looking at Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe's breath was about to be completely taken away. The chirping of birds in the distant forest seemed to come from the farthest world. I like you, and I want to be with you. How do you want to be together? Rin Kiyono quietly looked at Toru Watanabe. You, me, Miki, my senpai, Aonai senpai. Toru Watanabe replied. Do you think this is reasonable? It's not reasonable. Is it normal? It's not normal. Would I be willing? No. Rin Kiyono didn't say anything else, and her clear and beautiful eyes flashed with the sadness of falling in love with someone. I like you. Toru Watanabe had no other choice but to completely confess his feelings. I've been thinking about you recently. He said, my head is full of you, sometimes it's very happy, sometimes it's so sad that I want to cry. My thoughts are in a mess, and the only thing that's clear is that I like you, and I can't lose you. Rin Kiyono's eyes looked at the miscanthus on the side of the road. Once a person had the happiness that they wanted to pursue, they would also have the night that they wanted to cry. I like you. Toru Watanabe once again said the only reason that kept him standing there. I like you too. Rin Kiyono retracted his gaze from the miscanthus and looked at Toru Watanabe's face. The two of them were only 2 meters apart, but she could feel the boundless vastness of the river of fate. She was very clear and understood the responsibility that Toru Watanabe shouldered. It was a responsibility as heavy as Mount Fuji, the tallest mountain in Japan. Not only was it heavy, but the responsibility was as reasonable as the rivers flowing into the sea and the sun setting in the west. It had to be borne. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono and felt her gentle and clear love. Rin Kiyono loved Toru Watanabe as much as Toru Watanabe loved Rin Kiyono. Now, Toru Watanabe could be sure, when he tossed and turned, couldn't sleep because he missed her, and was sad that the two of them couldn't be together, she was the same. Kiyono classmate, I like you. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe and didn't say a word. I like you. I like you so much that I don't care what kind of person I am. Honest, dishonest, single-minded, or unfaithful, I have to let you be with me. I think so too, so I want to take you away from the three of them. Rin Kiyono gazed into the distance, the vast sky. Is there anything else you want to say? She asked with her back facing Toru Watanabe. Just this alone wasn't enough to convince her. Watanabe classmate, you must have a way. Whether it's a lie or not, please give me a reason to be with you. Kiyono classmate. Toru Watanabe's voice was filled with unconcealable loneliness. It was the first time Rin Kiyono heard Toru Watanabe, who was usually smiling and talking, speak in such a sad tone. Her heart began to tremble, and she couldn't help but close her eyes, afraid that she would cry. I need you. Toru Watanabe's voice continued. I always thought that I was the person who brought you out of loneliness, the pillar that supported you to persist in your ideals. But I'm not. Toru Watanabe also closed his eyes, and his throat began to ache. You don't need me at all. You can live well by yourself. Loneliness is not worth mentioning to you, and no one can shake your beliefs. Rin Kiyono's body was so weak that it couldn't withstand the wind, but it carried the heart of a young girl that was different from the rest. It was so strong that it could even reach the farthest reaches of the universe. I'm the one who is afraid of loneliness, and the one who needs support is also me. It's not that you need me, but that I need you. Kiyono-san, I like you. Rin Kiyono turned around and opened her eyes. Am I the one who told you not to be with me? Her voice was calm, and sparkling tears slid down her beautiful face that only showed a hint of sadness. Toru Watanabe was so sad that he couldn't control himself. He opened his mouth, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make a sound. I know. After a long time, he finally got used to this pain for the time being. I know that it's all my fault. There's no reason for you to be with me, but... Toru Watanabe choked up again. The only thing I can do now is to beg you. I beg you to temporarily forget all my mistakes. Even if you care about them, please wait until we're together before you blame me to your heart's content. Kiyono-san, I like you. I really want, to be with you. Toru Watanabe wants to be with you. Kiyono-san, I like you. Without you, my life can't go on. Kiyono-san, I like you. Rin Kiyono turned around, her back facing Toru Watanabe. She didn't make a sound, and only her shoulders were trembling. Looking up at the clouds in the sky, Toru Watanabe quietly waited for Rin Kiyono's answer in the miscanthus wilderness of celestial stone plains. Under the high dome, he felt as transparent as water and as light as a feather. Without Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe really couldn't do it. Finally, Rin Kiyono collected her emotions and turned around again. Even with her back facing the light, her eyes were still shining like water. "Okay," she said. The gradually rising temperature of the sun shone on Toru Watanabe's face. The wind blew over from Rin Kiyono's side. He smelled the fragrance of her body and the smell of the miscanthus. "I want to confirm." Toru Watanabe's throat was dry. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva and clear his throat. "What did you say just now?" he asked carefully. "I said." Rin Kiyono took a deep breath. "Okay. We are together." Toru Watanabe's voice gradually became louder. Chinyi Rin seemed to be cold and shy as he hugged his arms and nodded. Toru Watanabe stared at her blankly. At this moment, he froze and didn't even blink. Before Rin Kiyono could react, he turned around and ran. Under Rin Kiyono's gaze, he ran along the straight path in the miscanthus. He shouted along the way, scaring the wild birds in the morning. He even somersaulted a few times in the end. When he was almost out of sight, he ran back. He stopped in front of her. His face was filled with fanaticism and excitement. He couldn't suppress the smile on his face. Looking at Toru Watanabe like this, Rin Kiyono's heart felt warm. She shyly tidied her bangs. "Idiot," she said softly. "Idiot, I'm an idiot," Toru Watanabe said happily. "You can scold me however you want, because as long as you can hear my ethereal voice, your heart will feel very comfortable." Rin Kiyono put down her hand and said with a relaxed smile, "Hearing your ethereal voice, my heart will feel very comfortable." Toru Watanabe repeated with a smile. Rin Kiyono glanced at him. She couldn't help but look away. "You're too happy." "Of course I'm happy that my confession was successful." Toru Watanabe couldn't help but raise his arms and shout again. "Rin Kiyono is mine. Rin Kiyono is mine." The entire celestial stone plains was filled with his voice. The miscanthus were celebrating for him. The sun was shining brightly. Rin Kiyono was helpless and amused. Although it was noisy, she was very happy to hear it. She looked at him tenderly. Toru Watanabe slightly vented his inner excitement. He looked at her. "Kiyono-san?" asked. Rin Kiyono immediately knew why he called her. "Did you promise me because of my honesty?" Toru Watanabe asked curiously. "Half. What about the other half? You said that you like me many times." "I like you, Kiyono-san." "I like you too, Watanabe-san." Toru Watanabe couldn't help but reach out his hands and embrace his dream. That unattainable dream. "I won't give you a chance to go back on your words." He smelled Rin Kiyono's fragrance. "I won't give you a chance to go back on your words either." Rin Kiyono grabbed Toru Watanabe's clothes and pressed her forehead against his chest. "How can I go back on my words?" He felt the touch of her tight and slender waist. "As your girlfriend, I'll be stricter with you. I can't ask for more. I can also see through all your lies. You won't have any personal space. I welcome your supervision. We'll have children in the future. If the children lie, I might dislike them. Rin Kiyono only needs to love Toru Watanabe. Will you always be good to me?" "I'm not sure," Toru Watanabe said, I'll do today and tomorrow first. You can only promise that you'll be good to me tomorrow? Yeah. Rin Kiyono let go of Toru Watanabe's clothes and wrapped her arms around Toru Watanabe's waist. This way, the two of them held each other tightly. Toru Watanabe hugged her tightly. Her soft hair, her cute ears, her slender neck, her soft shoulders and back, the small rise and fall of her breasts, and the beautiful curve of her waist. He wanted to use all his five senses, use everything in this body, and store all these feelings in the deepest part of his memory and imprint them in his heart. Right. Toru Watanabe suddenly thought of something. Can we take a picture together? A picture? Yeah. Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone. My lock screen wallpaper is me and Mickey. I want to set the main screen as you and me. Rin Kiyono looked at him coldly. If you don't want to hear the truth, I can say something else. This is the first time I hate the truth so much. Rin Kiyono sighed. With the clear autumn sky and the endless sea of miscanthus as the background, the two of them took a picture in their sportswear. Let me see. Rin Kiyono opened her hands. Toru Watanabe handed his cell phone to her. Rin Kiyono carefully examined it, then set it as a pen and paper, and finally sent the picture to her own cell phone. After Toru Watanabe took back his cell phone, the two of them looked at each other and suddenly felt a little shy. They had known each other for so long and were already very close to each other, but they suddenly felt shy just because they were officially dating. Toru Watanabe looked at the clouds in the distance. Can I hug you for a while? Yeah. Rin Kiyono stared at the nearby miscanthus. The two of them didn't look at each other, they just reached out their hands and hugged each other. Stroking Rin Kiyono's thin and slender back, Toru Watanabe exhaled softly. He was satisfied and had nothing else to ask for. She, Rin Kiyono, was his. For Toru Watanabe, this was a miracle that couldn't be described with words. It wasn't until the second batch of tourists appeared in celestial stone plains that the two of them in sportswear returned to the hotel side by side. Miki Kujo opened her eyes and saw Toru Watanabe lying on the edge of the bed and staring at her with a grin. Are you trying to scare me to death? After saying that, she closed her eyes and continued sleeping. Of course, she wasn't scared. When she opened her eyes and didn't see Toru Watanabe, she actually panicked. Miki, I'm never tired of seeing you sleeping. Judging from your tone, Miki Kujo opened her eyes. Did you succeed? Even Miki was taken down by me. Isn't Rin Kiyono a piece of cake? Toru Watanabe said proudly. Your eyes. Miki Kujo carefully looked at Toru Watanabe's face. They're red. You can't be so happy that you cried. That's why you cried for success. Success is success. What's there to cry for? If you're talking about crying, Rin Kiyono also cried. You guys are so pretentious. Miki Kujo's tone was disdainful. She reached out her hand and gently stroked Toru Watanabe's face. Now that you have her, will you forget about me? Only Miki is a treasure that I'm never willing to give up. Toru Watanabe was determined. Miki Kujo looked at him intently. After a while, she suddenly remembered something and asked, What do you mean by saying the same thing to Rin? I didn't say that to her. Do you think I'll believe you? You can't fool Rin, so you're trying to fool me? I mainly want to make you happy. Smooth talker. Miki Kujo lifted the quilt. Come in. Why are you coming in? It's breakfast time. Toru Watanabe reached out and tried to pull her up. I'm not eating. Miki Kujo turned her back. You go. Then when you wake up later, we'll find another restaurant to eat. Or I'll bring it to you after I'm done. Okay. Toru Watanabe didn't go to eat breakfast. He took off his clothes, crawled under the quilt, and hugged her from behind. What are you doing? Miki Kujo opened her eyes and looked at him in confusion. Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. He just hugged her tightly. Miki Kujo stared at him for a while. Finally, she closed her eyes and leaned into his arms comfortably. Your tricks don't work on me, she said. Then I'm leaving. Why aren't you leaving? I don't dare. Don't dare. I can't bear to. I can't bear to. Miki Kujo turned around and put her hands on Toru Watanabe's waist. The two of them were chest to chest, waist to waist. Their legs were crossed and they hugged each other even tighter. Their body heat passed and mingled with each other. Let's be buried together like this. Miki Kujo felt as if she was soaking in the most comfortable hot spring in the world. Do you mean now or in the future? What about now? Miki, Jeje, please allow me to leave for a while. To do what? To kill Kiyono, Aona Koizumi, and my senpai, Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo smiled and rubbed her face against Toru Watanabe's face. We really are a good match. Miki, I like you the most. Toru Watanabe hugged her waist tightly. Are you also saying this to make me happy? Miki Kujo opened her eyes and stared at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe thought for a while. I need Kiyono's a little help. A little help? You're even speaking English. Looks like you're in a good mood. Speaking English means I'm in a good mood. What about speaking Chinese? Sad. What about French? Admit defeat. Spain. Are you still going to sleep? I can't sleep. Toru Watanabe blew into her ear. Jeje, let's go eat breakfast. Miki Kujo sighed. She couldn't do anything about him. Go, go, go. She kicked Toru Watanabe again. Go get my clothes. What are you wearing today? Toru Watanabe took his hand away from her soft chest and slipped off the bed. The two changed and went to the dining room. Rin Kiyono and Aoi Ichiki were already eating. Kujio Mie sat across from Seino Rin, stretched out her slender right hand, and said with a smile, My family's Watanabe. Please take care of him in the future. Whose family's Watanabe? Rin Kiyono didn't shake her hand. She looked at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe, of course. Watanabe's family's Watanabe. Toru Watanabe sat beside Miki Kujo and opposite Aoi Ichiki. He looked at Aoi Ichiki. You're laughing too much. Ha ha ha. Aoi Ichiki finally couldn't help but laugh. Sorry. She wiped her tears and said, I'm definitely not here to watch the fun. I'm very envious of the atmosphere between the three of you. Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo looked at her at the same time. Aoi Ichiki immediately stopped laughing. The two ladies were much more intimidating than Toru Watanabe. Or rather, compared to the two ladies, Toru Watanabe wouldn't care about these things. By the way, she found a topic to talk about. Do you guys like to eat half-cooked eggs or fully cooked eggs? I'm the fully cooked type. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Half-cooked. What about Kiyono classmate? Aoi Ichiki asked. Fully cooked. Ah, I'm in the same group as Kiyono classmate. Aoi Ichiki said happily. No, Rin Kiyono looked at Miki Kujo and then looked at Toru Watanabe. The three of us are in the same group. Aoi Ichiki felt that she was being isolated. Chapter 358. The first Saturday after returning from Hakone. Toru Watanabe chose a nice and comfortable set of clothes. He originally wanted to style his hair, but because he didn't have the habit of messing with his hair, he didn't like to do it at the last minute. In the end, he looked the same as usual. He walked out of room 502 and turned into room 501. The three teachers had just finished their study trip and were preparing to spend the weekend lazily at home. Seeing Toru Watanabe come in, Mayasahi, who had become a frequent guest, immediately looked over. Aren't you going out? Aona Koizumi stood up from the sofa. Yes, I wanted to say something. Toru Watanabe walked over and gently wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you doing? Aona Koizumi immediately became shy and panicked. She put her hands on Toru Watanabe's chest and didn't push him away. She just didn't want their bodies to be too close. We're still here. Huang Zi's gaze moved away from the TV. If you want to do something naughty, can you do it in the bedroom? Toru Watanabe looked past Aona Koizumi and glanced at Huang Zi. Then he asked Aona Koizumi seriously, "Are you going?" Aona Koizumi clenched her fists and punched Toru Watanabe's shoulder. Toru Watanabe smiled and let go of her, then looked at Mayasahi. Hug. Mayasahi opened her arms. Toru Watanabe didn't hug her. Instead, he covered her delicate and beautiful face with his hands and waited for her lips to pout slightly before he kissed her gently. Huang Zi couldn't bear to watch and burrowed into Miyazaki Miyuki's arms. Miyazaki Miyuki put her hand on her head and pushed her down on the sofa without mercy. Woo-woo. Huang Zi reached out to Aona Koizumi. Miyuki doesn't want me anymore. Aonai, hug. Aona Koizumi's face was still red. She smiled and slapped her hand away. You only let Watanabe hug you. If you don't let me hug you, I'll remember you. We're done. While Huang Zi pretended to be pitiful, Toru Watanabe released Mayasahi and said to her, "Let's be happy together." Okay. Mayasahi replied happily. "I'm leaving," he said to everyone. "Be careful on the road," Aona Koizumi reminded. All right. With Miki Kujo, Mayasahi, Aona Koizumi, and now Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe was filled with strength and happiness. He could do anything for them, and he could resist any temptation for them. Toru Watanabe recalled the day when they returned to Iwate Prefecture, when the three of them rode an old single-car tram together. When they meet later, what should he say first? Complimenting the clothes? It was impossible for her clothes to be ugly. Complimenting her hair? He couldn't imagine Rin Kiyono's hair being ugly. Then he could only say, "Kiyono-san, I like you." Rin Kiyono's hair, which was as black as lead powder, fluttered in the wind. Her clothes showed off the elegance of a young girl. Rin Kiyono, who was usually quite pretty, was even prettier today. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe as if she were looking at an idiot. She opened her mouth slightly and was about to speak when Toru Watanabe hurriedly raised his hand to interrupt her. Wait, he said. It's our first date, so the opening has to be perfect. Let's start again. Rin Kiyono leisurely crossed her arms and waited for him to think of a new opening for their first date. Have you thought of one? After a while, she asked him with a teasing and provocative smile. Yep. Toru Watanabe relaxed his frown. I can only try. Rin Kiyono lifted her chin slightly, meaning, go ahead. Toru Watanabe looked into her clear and beautiful eyes and said, I like you. Isn't that the same as before? Rin. I like you, Rin. Yep. Rin, I like you. If you like to repeat yourself so much, I suggest you apply for a job as a station announcer. Rin Kiyono tucked her hair behind her ears and turned her face away, revealing her small white ears that were dyed red. I've never been a station announcer before, but I've been working as a trolley car operator for an entire day, Toru Watanabe said. You're lying again. Did you forget? Iwate Prefecture to Tokyo, 400 kilometers. Toru Watanabe brushed his bangs back and made a gesture of putting on a hat. That's enough. Rin Kiyono recovered from her embarrassment. Where's the first stop, Suki-san? What did you just call me? Rin Kiyono put her hand to her lips and didn't dare to look at Toru Watanabe. She said in a voice as soft as a sigh. Toru. Say it again. Toru. Say it again. Rin Kiyono glared sharply at Toru Watanabe. Her beautiful white face was still flushed. Her cute appearance made Toru Watanabe's heart beat faster. If this was Shonen Ohara, there was no one around, he would definitely scream. I'm sorry, he said. Why are you apologizing? Rin Kiyono was a little surprised. This wasn't in line with Toru Watanabe's personality. I'm not apologizing for what happened just now. Toru Watanabe scratched his eyebrows. I suddenly felt a little shy and didn't know what to say, so I apologized. Rin Kiyono was stunned at first, then looked at him in amusement. You already have 3 girlfriends. You're still shy with me, your 4th? No, 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 you're the first person I fell in love with. That's a quick reaction. Rin Kiyono nodded in satisfaction. Rather than saying it's a reaction, I think it's more of an instinct. Toru Watanabe secretly thanked Miki, who always tested him with various language traps. Now, are you thanking Miki in your heart? Let me explain why I'm shy. Rin Kiyono was amused and helpless. Okay. Let's talk while we walk. As soon as Toru Watanabe opened his mouth, the two of them realized that they had been standing at the meeting place and hadn't moved at all. The so-called date, as long as it was just the two of them, even if they didn't do anything and just stood there and chatted, it was enough to make them happy. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono realized this at the same time, and then fell into happiness together. When they were about to walk out of the Four Valley Station, Toru Watanabe remembered a very important thing. He glanced at Rin Kiyono. She was looking at him. Their eyes met, quickly entangled, and then immediately separated. What's going on? Why is it so embarrassing and exciting? We've already hugged. Toru Watanabe summoned his courage and reached out his faintly trembling right hand to Rin Kiyono's white left hand. The moment their skin touched, Rin Kiyono's hand suddenly moved away. Sorry. Toru Watanabe quickly said, I was too anxious. There were many girls who didn't know how to hold hands on their first date. Rin Kiyono was so shy that her body was trembling, but when she saw his cautious appearance, she immediately relaxed. She put down her hand and returned it to its original position, using this action to tell Toru Watanabe that they could hold hands. But Toru Watanabe became a frightened bird and didn't dare to move. Why are you so shy? Rin Kiyono was really curious this time. Shy. I didn't want to scare you, so I deliberately pretended to be a gentleman for the first time. His reaction was too fast. He forgot that Rin Kiyono could see through his lies. Or was it because he was too shy, so he panicked and didn't know what to say? Say it. Rin Kiyono saw through his lies. It's normal for me to be shy. Toru Watanabe gave up and stopped struggling. Although I have 3 girlfriends, I've never been in a normal relationship. Rin Kiyono was deep in thought, carefully recalling Toru Watanabe's interactions with Miki Kujo, Mayasahi, and Aona Koizumi. Before she could think clearly, Toru Watanabe suddenly took her hand. The two of them looked at each other and didn't say anything. They didn't think about anything. They just held hands and walked with their heads down until they reached the Ida Bridge. The two of us are really strange, Toru Watanabe said. It's really strange. I'm not talking about your personality or ability, but your performance just now. You didn't take a step and just stood there talking non-stop. You kept walking and didn't say a word. Isn't that strange? I've never been in a relationship, so I don't know what a normal couple is like. I don't hate it. Rin. Nothing, I just wanted to try calling you. After saying that, Toru Watanabe cautiously added, sorry. Rin Kiyono suddenly let go of his hand. Toru Watanabe was startled and reflected on what he had done wrong. This time, before he could figure it out, Rin Kiyono directly hugged his arm. The action was very intimate, completely different from the elegant hold between Miki Kujo and Rin. If it's Che, you can call me as many times as you want. She flashed a bright smile that she had never shown before. Rin. Yeah. Rin. Yeah, Rin. But you can't call me too many times. This is the last time, Rin. Yeah. Walking on the busy street, looking at the window displays and shopping, the two of them felt very happy, as if they had actually grasped something very ethereal and stuffed it into their chest. They went to the bookstore, bought some shoes together, and the day passed quickly. He recalled that day when he walked through the park. A child was intently playing Bo Nyo on the cliff, on his flute to his mother, who was sitting on a bench. His mother was humming along to the beat, and the beech trees rustled in the wind. After watching a movie that night, Toru Watanabe sent Rin Kiyono home. The entrance to the high-end apartment was very bright, like a lighthouse in the night. "Good night." Rin Kiyono waved gently. "Good night." Toru Watanabe couldn't help but wave back. The two of them looked at each other like that. You go first." It was a small thing, but it was enough for Toru Watanabe to smile happily. Rin Kiyono originally wanted to say, "You go first," but when she tucked her hair behind her ear, she changed her mind. Do you want to come up?" She almost trembled as she said this. Toru Watanabe's voice trembled even more than Rin Kiyono's. "Okay." The two of them left the night and walked into the brightly lit apartment. They didn't say a word, as if they were strangers. In the elevator, their gazes would occasionally meet, but they would immediately separate like hot oil and cold water. "Have a seat, I'll pour you some tea." After entering the living room, Rin Kiyono immediately found an excuse to leave. "Okay." Toru Watanabe sat down on the sofa obediently, the shopping bags neatly placed by his feet. He suddenly thought of something and said loudly to Rin Kiyono, "I don't want that Countess black tea, it's not good." "What did you say?" Rin Kiyono really didn't hear him clearly, her heart was beating too loudly. "Nothing." Toru Watanabe thought she heard him clearly. As expected, he drank the Countess black tea again. Toru Watanabe didn't notice it during the day, but now he suddenly realized that Rin Kiyono's lips were so soft when the teacup touched them. "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me?" Rin Kiyono asked curiously. "Nothing." Toru Watanabe pretended to drink his tea. Rin Kiyono put down the teacup and stretched. Her back formed a beautiful arc, and her slender wrist stretched towards the ceiling. Her chest, which he usually didn't pay attention to, was not as flat as Toru Watanabe imagined. "After walking for a whole day, I'm so tired. I really admire you. Where are you looking?" Toru Watanabe fell into deep thought, then put down the teacup, and walked towards Rin Kiyono with determination and vigor. Their hearts were beating violently, as if someone was drumming in their chest. Both of them felt the same way at the same time. "I'm going to change my clothes. Wait for me." Rin Kiyono got up and walked towards the bedroom. "Kiyono-san." Toru Watanabe grabbed her slender wrist, looked at her side profile, and nervously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Rin Kiyono didn't say anything, nor did she try to break free. "Can I?" Toru Watanabe felt hot air rushing to his head, and he couldn't think about anything else. Rin Kiyono still remained silent. Toru Watanabe gently pulled her into his arms, and the two of them looked at each other, feeling each other's hot breath. Rin Kiyono slowly closed her eyes, and those soft cherry lips became more and more alluring. The faint fragrance and soft touch were like a pool of sweet spring water that he couldn't get enough of, and it was a comfort that he had never felt before. The two of them went to the bedroom and lay on the bed, facing each other. "What do you hate?" Rin Kiyono asked softly. "Absorbent sports shoes." In order to get closer to Rin Kiyono, he didn't care about the eyes of the world, and ran in the heavy rain. "What else?" "A hardcover book that's so heavy." In order to have common topics with Rin Kiyono, and to gain enough knowledge, he brought books with him every day. "What else?" 2 slices of salmon from the supermarket. When he was eating this, he was still living in the rented apartment where he could see Rin Kiyono. When he went to the convenience store in the middle of the night, he thought that it would be great if he could meet her. At that time, the most he bought was salmon. "About me? I like everything about you." Toru Watanabe's hand touched the bra button on Rin Kiyono's back. Rin Kiyono grabbed Toru Watanabe's collar, buried her head in his chest, and felt his body temperature getting hotter and hotter. Toru Watanabe grabbed the hem of her sweater and gently pulled it up. Rin Kiyono obediently raised her arms. Her skin was as clear as snow, her shoulders were curvy, and her breasts were full of youthful vitality. Rin Kiyono's eyes were tightly closed, and she was as beautiful and holy as a sleeping princess. Her delicate body was like a goddess, like a white flower, and also like water accumulated by the moonlight. She just lay there, and her black hair spread out on the snow-white pillow. "Rin, I'm here." Toru Watanabe looked at her with infatuation. Rin Kiyono's voice was gentle as she gently stroked Toru Watanabe's hot cheeks. "I love you, Rin." "I love you too, Toru." The moonlight had never been so beautiful. The two of them lay on a fragrant and warm cloud. The next morning, Toru Watanabe was woken up by a noise. "What are you doing?" He looked at the neatly dressed Rin Kiyono under the bed, and the vacuum cleaner in her hand. "I'm cleaning on the weekends, so you should get up and help. I'm a guest, how can you let a guest clean?" Toru Watanabe hadn't gone for a morning run in a long time, and he was woken up by the noise. "You're a guest? How can a guest sleep on the master's bed? Get up and help." "That's not impossible." Toru Watanabe laughed from the bed. Kiss me, and I'll—" "Stop, stop, stop, I know, don't use the vacuum cleaner on me again. I'm not trash." The next day, on a sunny Monday, in the corner by the window of Year 2 Class 4. "You look good." Miki Kujo smiled at Rin Kiyono. "You look worse than me," Chinyi Rin said as he crossed his arms. "Watanabe." Miki Kujo put her hand on Toru Watanabe's neck. "Did you hear that? My complexion is worse. I meant for you to sleep well." Rin Kiyono glanced at her. "How can I sleep well without Watanabe by my side?" "We sleep best when we're hugging each other, and we're planning to hug each other when the time comes. Isn't that right, Watanabe?" "Watanabe-san?" Rin Kiyono also looked at Toru Watanabe. Everyone, return to your seats. The morning class meeting is about to begin." Aona Koizumi walked in with a lesson plan. Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono looked at each other fiercely and ended the argument. Toru Watanabe escaped one disaster, but he was sure that there were more such things waiting for him in the future. But there was no need to rush, because they had been together for a long time. Aona Koizumi talked about the arrangements for the second year of high school, and Toru Watanabe looked out the window. He remembered something from a long time ago. He also looked out the window like this and thought about the ending of the story. That was the Human Observation Department's first activity. It was a submission to the Literature Department. So, what should he use as the ending this time? It was at noon near the end of April. Aona Koizumi told him that he had to join a society. He saw a strange recruitment poster on the bulletin board of the society building. It was the Human Observation Department. The head was Rin Kiyono, who was 1 month away from turning 16. Next, he would go to Imperial Tea, pass through the corridor in the afternoon, and turn into a cat. On the wire fence of Kanagawa High School's playground, a crow blinked its black eyes, flapped its wings, and flew into the distant blue sky. It flew over Tokyo and flew away. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.